Welcome back to How We Roll Gaming. So, Nick, you like me are neck deep in prep for Gamer
That's
Nation
why you're
Con, aren't
here.
you? Yep. We've got a play test coming up this
Subsequent
weekend.
tests on that as well.
We've got we've got games open for early registration, and main registration starts Monday, and we're less than a month away. Where did the last year go?
Uh, in the garbage composer.
Yeah, something like that. We don't have Robert with us this time around, and so we thought we might try a little something different. Springing out of some table talk about one of our recent games, our group was laughing about translating ridiculously overpowered characters into RPGs, and so we thought it might be fun to bounce off of one another and build one out on the show.
This is something that also we'd like to expand to. Maybe in the future, have like Robert join us back for a revisit, or have your comment on revisiting.
What we're going to be doing today, we'll be building the Force Unleashed's incredibly overpowered, stupidly overpowered Starkiller.
AKA Galen Merrick.
Building him as a PC in the Star Wars RPG system would
A
be
nightmare.
nearly impossible. A horrible nightmare. We'd be cross specking into a variety of different specialization trees, and
And don't get us started on the Force Release too. We're not touching that.
it would be all over the map. So, what we're going to do, since the rules for building out NPCs are different, where you just a la carte from all of the talents and everything, we're going to be building him as an NPC adversary, as if we were going to be throwing him at a group of
Specifically, a
players.
high level group. Like, don't take this build and like throw it at your first time players. That won't be good.
It could be fun. TPKs are fun.
That's the Robert bit influence, Daryl. Fight it.
I mean, he has to be here in spirit if
It's
he's
true.
not here in
It's true.
person. Now, I don't know about you, Nick, but I would say that we need to put some kind of guardrails
Oh,
on
that's
this
what I'm
NPC
saying. Like,
build, right?
if we were doing this as a proper NPC build, I'd call him a high level adversary that can grow to an end game character. But we're gonna start with like his initial form, for lack of a better term.
Well, I'm saying more in terms of guardrails that we want to kind of,
Uh-huh.
we have our books handy and we want to keep things in line. So we've got the official FFG Edge stats for Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine, and we're not going to let him go above them in most of the things. I mean, there's one or two things that he might be better than one or both of them at, just because of the nature of his
And this
character
is
versus
true.
their
Yes.
characters. But overall, either one of them needs to be able to put him in his place
Exactly.
by the end of the
And
game.
again, he needs to be an adversary for player characters. So therefore, if they can't beat Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, they can't beat him. Vice versa.
We're going to start off with those are the guardrails that we have in place. He's not going to be a be all end all because let's be real. In the video game, he pulls a Star Destroyer out of orbit using the Force. There's no way, realistically, without giving him like a Force rating of like 10 and cheating the range upgrades for move, that you could do that mechanically.
And there's some arguments that we made, but like we're not here to argue that feat. We're here to like arbitrate a character.
Although I do have an idea for how to do that kind of insane
I have,
nonsense mechanically with the build that we're going to make. And I'll
yeah,
spring it on you a little later. And it might be along similar lines to what you're doing. Because part of this, we're going to have some fun hashing out, what each of us thinks is the best way
That's why
to
we
do
are
this.
open to a re-examination of this or multiple characters if we do this more often.
Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started statting out Starkiller. First things first, we know that the adversary type is obviously going to be a
Yes, which means he's
nemesis.
basically a player character opposed to the player characters. Has the same sort of rules and
And
regulations to them.
but built with different
But in terms
guidelines
of
for
on the field,
creation.
and there's also exceptions, such as like giving it Nemesis an extra turn. But in terms of like straight up Nemesis, they have the same sort of action and strain economy.
So, first things first, characteristics. So, what would we say is his brawn?
Now that's the one that I've had the longest to think about because I feel that as a force user in determining like the force powers I want him to would feel that he needs to have the iconic ones, he needs to have a high wisdom.
All right. But we also know that unless we take one of the other lightsaber talents when we get to talents, lightsabers
Yes.
built on brawn.
So I'd say like
And we know that he has all those sick
incredible sick
lightsaber tricks.
lightsaber tricks. So I'd say if we have to put one at 5, I'd put 5 into Brawn because also he's beefy. He takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, indeed.
But that would mean that the
Indeed.
4 would be in
So
wisdom.
let's put,
I
well,
mean,
there is no
you're right.
wisdom in this system, Nick.
Willpower.
Willpower. Now, keep in mind, too, given that this is an NPC and a Nemesis NPC, we don't have that kind of limit in making the characteristics. We can
That's
make them
true.
whatever we want them to be. Because I would say, based on what all we see him do, he's probably got a 4 in
I'd agree with
agility as
that.
well. Intellect, he's not the sharpest tool in the
Yeah,
shed.
keep him. We could keep him at a 1, honestly.
Oh, I wouldn't put him at a 1.
That's
I'd put him at
fair.
a
That's fair.
2.
That's fair.
He's not a
He
complete
is
blithering
able to build a
idiot, but
lightsaber, and he's able to at least understand when his starship is being worked on.
now his cunning,
Oh, that's a tough one.
I'm saying that's at
Yeah,
least a 3,
he
and
is trained as
his
a Sith, so
presence,
therefore he has to have a little bit of like mistrust of everything.
and his presence,
A 2?
I mean, this is, you're going to give Sam Witwer a 2?
You're right. It's at least a
That's at
3
least a 3.
because this isn't his most charismatic. It's not his
It's
most
at least a,
charismatic role.
it's not, but some of those social checks
Yeah,
all run out of presence. Coercion doesn't run out of presence. Coercion runs out
yeah,
of willpower, so that's good. All right, so we have our characteristics at Brawn 5, Agility 4, Intellect 2, Cunning 3, Willpower 4, and Presence 3.
yeah. That's good.
Are we
And without
good?
any other abilities, that's still like a really strong basic nemesis.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Let's take a quick run down the skills here if we want to give him any ranks. Um, Astrogation, I would say no because
Yeah,
um,
he's got a
he's got
pilot,
his
and
pilot.
he also has a droid and he also has a really good ship. So we
Yeah,
could argue that he doesn't. He gets
right,
transported places.
right. Athletics, I'm going to say there needs to be at least 2 or 3 ranks in
I think that
athletics.
we could keep that in the 2 to 3 range because we could modify that with force powers.
Right. Brawl, I'm going to say needs to be another 2 or 3.
Good choice. Yeah,
Do we
I
want
think
it at 2 or at
2
3?
because again we could
All
also
right.
augment charm. No,
Charm, no.
like if I remember playing the Force Unleashed one, and he had no game with Juno.
He has no game. I'm sorry, Sam Witwer is a handsome
The
man,
character he was,
but
the character
Galen
he was
Marek.
playing did not have that.
Sam Witwer is a handsome, charming man, but Galen Marek is not. Coercion,
It's
yes. There's ranks in coercion.
it's a skill of the Sith, and he's got the anger in him to like really be intimidating.
So 2, 3, or max him
I
out
think
at
put him at
4.
4. Because again, I'm going mostly
All
on
right.
Force Unleashed 1, where he doesn't have like a whole lot of self control.
Oh, sure,
So that's like
sure. The
now
computers, no.
he has a droid for that. He has Juno for that. He has anyone else for that.
And he is definitely, no, again, Sam Witwer is cool.
Does not have
Starkiller is
cool.
not cool.
He is
Does
no
not
cool.
have cool. Coordination.
I could get. He
I
does a
mean,
whole lot of cool stuff,
I
but
would
I'd say like
say
maybe a one. It's like coordination is a bit more like finesse, and he's more of a blunt instrument.
core worlds, no, not really. Deception.
I'd say at least a one.
All right.
Oh,
Discipline,
that
again,
does
no.
not have any of that.
He lacks
That's kind of
discipline.
what makes him so powerful.
Education,
Because that would be
no.
more like regular gunnery.
Gunnery,
No, he probably just relies on his ship captain. He
leadership,
doesn't lead
no.
anyone. In fact, he's supposed to be a solo operative.
Lightsaber.
Four.
Lore,
I'd say a
that one's a
two
tough
because
one.
because lore
He got some lore. He got some lore, but it was all kind of, as Obi-Wan would say
and
from
all
a certain point of
twisted by
view.
Vader because he was meant to be Vader's like crude instrument to take down Palpatine.
Right. Now, let me point out that since we gave him an intellect of 2, giving him 2 ranks of lore basically maxes it out. I mean, we could give him more ranks and he would get
I
more
feel that
greens, but
would be like since we didn't give him any education, that is his education. He knows like Sith lore and like from a certain point of view, but he doesn't know anything else to like
all right.
contrast with it.
Totally fair.
Nope,
Mechanics, no.
that's the captain pilot. That's Juno. That's Juno and Proxy. He gets
Medicine,
healed
no.
up at like Vader's house.
Melee,
Yeah, definitely put
yes.
that. I'd say like either I'd argue four, but I can see it at three.
That works for me.
He's trained as a
I am fine
lightsaber
with
user,
that.
but he's
Ne-
ready to throw hands if he needs to. So
negotiation, no. He doesn't really. Outer rim, no. Perception,
I say a two.
piloting planetary, no. He's got Juno.
Got
Piloting
Juno.
space, no. He's got Juno. Ranged heavy. It's been a while since I played. I'm
No,
trying to remember if he used
it's entirely
any pew
lightsaber
pew.
the whole thing. So he wouldn't have range head.
We'll skip by
Yeah,
ranged heavy and ranged light. Straight to resilience.
I say these has got a two with that because Vader's his teacher, and if Vader doesn't probably have some pretty heavy punishments for like failure.
Your favorite word of the game? Skullduggery.
Uh, yeah, that wouldn't be him. I'd say again he'd probably pass it on to Proxy or Juno. I could
Stealth.
see him having at least a two in stealth.
Streetwise.
No, oh, that has to be
Survival.
a three. Vader just drops him off on planets like
Underworld.
Underworld. I'd say give him a one.
Vigilance. He's
Yeah,
much more vigilant than cool.
I'd say that would be like that should be at least a
A
two.
2. Knowledge warfare.
I'd say give him a one. He'd at least know about like Imperial tactics.
And xenology.
I don't think so.
I
Yeah,
don't think
now that I
so.
think about he doesn't want to think about what he killed. He's just like, can I kill it?
For those keeping score at home, just statting out his characteristics and his basic skills, we've already spent 575 XP.
Now again, now just for reference, not every skill is useful in a encounter with a character.
Well, that is very true.
So,
Yeah.
but in terms of like even in the martial like combat abilities, he's pretty beefy already. We haven't even added in the force rating yet.
Now, moving on to talents, I'm just looking down an alphabetical listing of all of the talents. The first one that I'm going to stop at, I'm going to skip over a few that I don't think really apply to him. First up,
Oh,
Adversary. Now,
adversary.
for those of you unfamiliar with the game, NPCs, the Adversary talent, allows them to upgrade the difficulty of any combat check that targets them once per rank of adversary. I'm going to say, well, I'm going to flip over here and I'm going to look at Papa Vader because I don't remember what Papa Vader's is. I know Papa Vader is an adversary 4. So I'm saying Starkiller is at least an adversary 2, if
Let
not
me
a
double
3.
check to see here for the Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is adversary 3, but so is the other Inquisitors. So
including the ones who are kind
yeah,
of,
yeah.
not terribly effective.
So maybe compromise at
So
4.
I think it's fair to give him an
Yeah,
adversary 3. I think it's fair to give him 3 because I wouldn't give him as high an adversary rating as
obviously.
Vader,
Yeah. So
which is
yeah, put
4.
him at 3, but that's how you differentiate him from the Inquisitors with skills, talents, and other things. And that's also the fun part of like mixing
Right.
and matching in this NPC. Like the NPC like catalog that we have has a whole lot of ways that you can like make your ideal like enemy.
So I continue going down this alphabetical listing of talents. And the next thing that I come across that just screams, yes, this is Starkiller, is aggressive
Yes.
negotiations, which once per session perform a hard lightsaber check to decrease the difficulty of all negotiation checks for the rest of the encounter by 2. So, yes, he definitely has
But again,
aggressive
we're not
negotiations.
creating Starkiller for an encounter. We're creating Starkiller the character as that you can just drop into a campaign, obviously higher level. But if you have like a situation where this happens, you'll be able to act in those situations. Also, this is more or less this isn't like
But
our like canon Starkiller. It's our thought process. You could use this as a guideline to your Starkiller.
being totally honest, this is just a plain fun little exercise.
We'll probably have like a proper like NPC building, especially for the Star Wars system, but in general, later down the line.
Almost certainly. Looking down the list here, I don't think Altered Deal
No,
works for him. But does Ambush ever work for him?
that could work, especially as
So once per round, when he has cover, he can make an ambush maneuver and add damage equal to his stealth skill to one hit of the next
again
successful
we.
combat check. Well, no, but that's within
Ooh,
short range. So he has no ranged weaponry or skills, so
wait.
no, ambush doesn't work for
We
him.
could put a pin on that if he has the ability to use a lightsaber skill at a ranged distance.
That's true, and we will be coming back to that. So ambush is in.
With an asterisk at the moment, because we also haven't discussed his
Um,
weaponry yet.
as the force wills it, make an easy lore check to heal strain at the end of an encounter, and a triumph can be spent to
I
heal all
feel
strain.
that's fair. I feel that's a fair ability as a nemesis that's meant to be like we're imagining this is not like a one and done boss fight. Even if it was an encounter, it'd be like the full session, like fight, retreat for each side.
Now, continuing to go down the list here, I've commented a few times. We've mentioned Sam Witwer, who the character's appearance was also modeled after. I think here's where we get Sam Witwer's look in under Baleful Gaze.
Yeah.
Targeted by a combat check from within medium range, can spend a destiny point to upgrade the difficulty of the check a number of times, equal to ranks in coercion. So you can upgrade it 4 times.
And I'm pretty sure you'll do that in editing, but you'll prove the point.
Maybe brace. Perform the brace maneuver to remove a setback per rank of brace from the next action. This can only remove setbacks added by environmental circumstances.
Is it a ranked one? So as we say, like
Yes.
he only has one rank on it because he's meant. It reflects him moving around. He's not going to like usually like braces used like for like sedentary like heavy gunners, but in this case he'd be using
Right.
it to like take cover once and then move.
Does he have improved brace, which is when the character performs the brace maneuver, they may choose one environmental circumstance. The benefits of brace apply to that circumstance until the end of the encounter.
No, I feel that that'd be a bit too strong, but because brace is like environmental, that means he could use it more times. And depending on like a planetoid or area that he's in, he can use it more reflectively as again he's supposed to be like slippery like an assassin.
Sure, sure. Maybe bring it down once per attack. Spend 1 destiny point to add damage to a single hit equal to the target's brawn value.
I can see that.
He is not a calm commander. He does
But
not have a
anything
calming
related to
aura.
like leadership or getting people under him, no.
Would Channel Agony apply to him? After rolling a force die, may suffer wounds up to twice the ranks in Channel Agony to add an automatic dark side pip for every 2 wounds suffered.
I'd say no, and that's because I have an idea for his equipment to
Fair.
like achieve the same thing without any negative cost.
Totally fair. Conditioned, remove a setback per rank of conditioned from athletics and coordination checks and reduce the damage and strain suffered by falling or from falling by 1 per rank of conditioned.
I say one conditioned.
Sold.
We don't want him to again like this is like him traversing around environments like I'm imagining like the long term like encounter that we're having. He's moving around and therefore we want to
Right.
make sure that he's maintaining health as well as strain, recovering that, and then be able to like come back with attacks.
Now, continuing to go down the list, I could read out everything as we're going along, but why bother? Given the build that we gave him with the skills,
Yeah,
constant vigilance. He always uses vigilance for initiative
it makes sense.
because he's always paranoid. He's always looking over his shoulder.
He's always wanting to please Vader, please the Empire, and he's ready for that the inevitable betrayal.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Or the actually quote for the video game, like, I lied, as I have from the beginning.
Counterstrike. When an attack misses the character and generates despair or 2 threat, may upgrade the next lightsaber check. Oh, wait, no, but that uses cunning as lightsaber.
That's
Never
part of
mind.
its reason, specifically cunning, yeah. Because
So,
we are
never
going
mind.
on, he's skilled, but brawn based.
Now, given the nature of The Force Unleashed and most video games, Creative Killer, reduce the crit rating of improvised weapons by 2 to a minimum of 1. I mean, just like every other video game character, you occasionally just grab whatever's
that's
around
also
to
like
use as a
the
weapon.
Jackie Chan method, environmental. I'd say that's more applicable to a player character where you have more options and have limited ideas. Unless I'd say that'd be more like that could be added in, like a sort of like a added talent to a specific scene where player and NPC are in the place where they cannot use a regular weapon.
That's fair. That's
But
fair.
opposed to,
But what about crippling blow?
definitely crippling blow.
Increase the difficulty of the next combat check by 1. If the check deals damage, the target suffers 1 strain whenever they move for the remainder of the encounter.
Definitely.
And he's not much into traps.
The trap is him. If he's making a trap, the trap is him coming down.
Well, I was thinking of cunning snare. He's not much
That's what I'm saying.
into setting
If
traps.
there's a trap that's being set, it's him lying in wait and then coming down or coming out of the shadows and like.
Deadly accuracy. When acquired, choose 1 combat skill, add damage equal to ranks in that skill to 1 hit of a successful attack made using that skill.
I like it, but I want to put it at Reigns. Or no, put it on lightsaber. But we can't
Exactly.
specifically put it on lightsaber. Like I would put it like specifically lightsaber throw attack.
We might have ways around. Now, how many ranks of deadly accuracy does he have?
I'd say 1 if we can do it for the
All right.
lightsaber throw attack. 2 if it can only be put on this a regular lightsaber attack.
This next one is definitely on brand for Starkiller.
Yep.
Death Blow. After making a successful attack with a non-starship or vehicle weapon, the character may spend 1 destiny point to add damage equal to his willpower to 1 hit of the successful attack.
That's the cool like Starkiller like I call them like mini fatalities in the game. The cool style kill.
It's been a while since I've played. Does Deceptive Taunt apply to him?
Read that out.
Once per session, may make Deceptive Taunt action, make opposed deception check. If successful, 1 adversary must attack the character during the adversary's next turn.
He did have a taunt move in the game actually, where he sort of like egg on like a opponent from that's like slightly away from him. Like I used to use that to like egg on like melee guys to like jump over like a gap where they just would fall into lava. So it's sort of like
Yeah.
so yeah, a taunt would work for him if we're building this like he's an antagonist and everyone's going to be attacking right now.
Next up that I think might apply is
Hmm.
defensive training. When wielding a lightsaber, melee, or brawl weapon, the weapon gains the defensive quality with a rating equal to ranks in defensive training.
That makes sense, especially if we get into like lightsaber talents.
And how many ranks of defensive training would you say he has?
Again, since I'm thinking about his future lightsaber talents, I'm thinking like giving him some like at least like 2 reflect. I'd say like give him a 1 in this, but like 2 reflect will add on to that.
Here's the thing. We know what weapon he's going to have, which already has a defensive
Oh, that's
rating of
true.
1.
Like
And this gives the weapon defensive quality, which it
yeah,
will
just
already
ignore that
have.
then. Yeah.
He does
Nope.
not have a disarming smile. He is not a disciplined soul.
Also, Sam Whitwer, we're sorry. We're not. We're criticizing the character.
We love you, Sam. We're talking about the character. We're not talking about you.
And if you have any problem with what we're saying right now, you can also come onto the podcast and refute that. Just saying.
Yes, you may. Disorienting Strike. After failing a lightsaber combat check, may spend 2 advantage or a triumph to disorient the opponent for 3 rounds.
I don't think he has enough like skill to do that.
Fair.
Like, that's more like a Vader move or like a mole move. At least
Dodge.
one dodge.
Improved dodge, which lets him as an
No,
out
that's
of
a bit
turn
too
incidental.
much. Especially once we get into like force powers.
Oh man. Looking at this list, I'm seeing one of my homebrew talents, and I'd love to add it, but it's homebrew, so it's off the table. Dramatic
But
entrance.
that's also a good thing that we should also like talk about like homebrew stuff in the future episode.
Absolutely. So, little sidebar here. I was in working on something that I'm still working on, an adaptation converting West End Games Lords of the Expanse to the Fantasy Flight Edge system. There's a lot of swordplay and swordsmen and duelists in Lords of the Expanse.
Swashbuckling
So I was
in the
making
classical sense.
that is, in fact, what I called the specialization tree that I was working on, swashbuckler. And dramatic entrance is one of the homebrew talents that I put on that swashbuckler tree, which is once per session, spend 1 destiny point to move directly to engaged range with an opponent.
I really like that. That's just, as someone that's also a big fan of that setting that you're trying to adapt. Like I don't know if I whether want to run a game with you on that or play in a game with that.
Spoiler alert, I had 3 other homebrew talents on that tree. Not left-handed, not left-handed supreme, and drop your sword. Yeah, my references and influence aren't worn on my
Oh,
sleeve or anything.
that's there's another episode that we talked about, like wearing your references and like inspirations. Actually, I actually
And
figured out
since I'm
the name
going
of that episode. Everyone's heard it before.
going down the list, I just saw drop your sword, which yes has a
Mhm.
period after each word. Once per session, spend 1 destiny point to make an opposed cool versus discipline check against an opponent at engaged range. If successful, opponent is disarmed. But
Yeah,
we can't use that. Duelists training, though. Add a boost to melee and lightsaber checks when engaged with only 1 opponent.
honestly, I think we shouldn't have that because sort of the appeal of Starkiller of his overpoweredness.
That he just go that he just
Yeah,
goes
so he
ham on
isn't like
everybody.
picking out anyone. Like, and honestly, that would actually work for like certain classes, like the Guardian. They have like a dedicated dual like signature ability.
How about then, though, durable?
At least one durable.
Reduce ranks of any critical energy. Reduce any critical injury suffered by 10
I
per
think at
rank
least
of
one
durable.
durable.
I'm gonna go with 2, just because He's a video game main character.
I'll accept that.
Ah, here we go. Now we're getting into some good Starkiller stuff. Embrace your
Yes.
hate. Spend a destiny point and suffer conflict equal to dark side destiny points in the pool to add equal damage to a melee attack. May use this ability once per encounter per rank.
That's a Starkiller move.
How many ranks of Embrace Your Hate does Starkiller have, Nick?
I'll appreciate this with like saying like he starts with 1, but if we have him like going through like previous like sort of stages, he gets up to 3 eventually.
Yeah,
But
fair.
let him start at 1.
Does he have Essential Kill? When making a non-gunnery combat check, the character may add force die no greater than his force rating to the check. The character may spend force points to add advantage or 3 force points to add a triumph, character's choice, to the mix.
Wait, what is it like the base check?
That's just when you make a non-gunnery combat check, you can add force dice up to his force rating to the check.
I'm gonna as Starkiller as it is, like I'm gonna put a veto on that. That's a bit too hardcore because we haven't established his force rating yet. But like
Oh,
we can put an asterisk in it.
make a note then for us to possibly come back to that. Essential Kill.
Come back around to Essential Kill.
This is, again, a case where it's been so long since I've played. I don't remember if anything like this from the game would count. Far Strike. As an action, make a brawl check as a ranged attack, adding force dice up to the force rating. Increase the range of the attack by 1 band for each force point spent to a maximum of long.
He's in a brawler. He has to do brawl.
Fair. I'm going back and forth on Fear is my ally. Spend a threat on an opposed social check to recover 1 strain.
Is it a ranked one?
No.
Yeah, put that in the maybe.
This could be, but he's more about getting his hands dirty than scaring people away. Fear the Shadows. Perform the Fear the Shadows action to make a hard deception check to force a minion group to flee.
No. And also with the level of if we even like Data like just his like fist right now. He could clobber a stormtrooper group on a good roll.
Fearsome. When an adversary becomes engaged with the character may force the adversary to make a fear check with difficulty equal to the character's ranks in Fearsome.
He just jumps in the scene, like instant fear check.
Now, given that he is Vader's secret apprentice, I doubt Fearsome Rep would apply. Add an automatic. Go ahead.
Would not apply. Honestly, it would like Fearsome would apply to if there's like stormtroopers in the group, they're like terrified, and the idea is like no one's leaving this room alive.
Feint. Spend a triumph for 3 advantage generated on a missed melee attack to upgrade the difficulty of the opponent's next attack targeting the character by ranks in Feint.
I'd say no. Starkiller is a bit like aggressive and Anakin-like and Ahsoka-like, so cocky.
So would we say that Feral Strength might apply to him then? Add 1 damage per rank of Feral Strength to 1 hit of successful attacks made using brawl or melee skills. With 1 or 2 ranks of Feral Strength.
What would you think? I could see both.
I'm leaning towards 2, but I also don't want to be unreasonable with it.
Again, like he's more feral than Anakin has feral strength, but he has like control. His apprentice is like just like stab, just a 1. Especially since we've worked with the discipline stuff.
Right, makes total sense.
Honestly, I just realized this episode will like give people like how we stat out and like really think of like our NPCs and stuff. It does take a while. It's more than just like stat blocks and like funny voices.
Does it work for the character?
Like, you can find the perfect stat block. You can find like the funny voice that you're gonna do. It's like, but is that the character? Is that the right for the encounter? For the session? For the campaign? It's a lot more.
This seems like it would be a good fit based on again, video game mechanics and what I remember of the game. Force protection. Perform the force protection maneuver, suffer 1 strain, and commit 1 force die up to ranks of force protection. Increase soak by number of force dice committed until the beginning of the next turn. Suffer 1 strain every turn the force die remains committed.
Yeah, that's perfect. That no notes.
How many ranks do we think he has in force protection?
I think it should be 2.
That works for me. Does he have frenzied attack? When making a melee or brawl check, suffer a number of strain to upgrade the attack an equal number of times. The strain suffered may not exceed ranks in frenzied attack. And keeping in mind some of these skills like this, we broadly interpret melee to also encompass lightsaber attacks.
Some of them haven't been updated in certain areas, but have been referenced in others.
Some of them were introduced to the game before the lightsaber skill
But
was
have been
introduced.
referenced in other books as well. This is a melee skill. This is a lightsaber skill weapon. So there's some leeway. But could you repeat the one you requested again?
Frenzied attack. When making a melee or brawl check, suffer the number of strain to upgrade the attack an equal number of times. The strain suffered may not exceed ranks in frenzied attack.
I'd say no, and honestly, I feel we talented a lot.
We have, but there's some in the. We're just going through the list, and there's plenty in the bottom of the alphabet for him.
But we also gotta forget force powers, and we haven't even discussed the weaponries.
We won't. I mean, it's right there in the title of the episode, Nick. This is an overpowered adversary. Okay, next up, I think it's fair to give him jump up, where once per round he may stand from seated or prone as an incidental.
Because one of the easier uses of advantage or triumph is to knock someone prone. And there's also a knockdown for a certain weapon.
This sounds pretty Starkiller as well. Juyo Savagery. Character adds +5 to critical injury rolls from lightsaber attacks for each dark side destiny point in the destiny pool.
Is that rank? So, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a straight up +5 to his crit rolls.
That's a good
for each dark side destiny point.
Mid-fight turntable. Really making the players put them on the back half.
Yeah, definitely. And, up those crits.
And to flip the destiny pool in their favor, technically.
That doesn't flip, it just adds per dark side points in the destiny pool. It just adds to the crit score.
But still, a strong sign of things for the encounter.
And while we're talking about crits, on top of that, does he have any ranks in lethal blows?
I think one.
Which adds.
I think add 1. Just 1 rank.
1. So he will add 10, another 10 to his critical rolls. Sounds good.
Again, this is not meant to be for your average group. This is honestly close an end level group.
This is a boss fight.
And not even
This is absolutely a boss fight.
And probably multiple levels, probably multi-states or evolving over time.
This features into a trait of how he operates that we talked about just a few minutes ago. Multiple opponents. He gets a boost to lightsaber checks when engaged with multiple opponents. That is Starkiller through and through.
A consummate fighter, ready to take on anyone, especially lightsaber use.
Now, do we want to be mean enough to any players who might go up against this version of Starkiller and make him a natural blade master who, once per session, may re-roll any one lightsaber or melee check?
There you know me, the most mean game master of all time.
Just ask yourself, what would Robert do?
Sorry, Robert. God bless you.
We love you, Robert, but you make tough adversaries. And that is not a complaint.
Honestly, when we get to actual hard adversaries, he's definitely gonna be the one we're gonna be listening to. No.
That's why I asked how mean
we're not
we wanted
be
to
that
be.
mean. Do you propose, like, what do you feel?
No, that's totally fine. All right, next coming up, an essential skill for someone using any kind of lightsaber or melee
And
weapon,
reflect.
parry. Parry, when hit by a brawl, melee, or lightsaber attack, suffer 3 strain to reduce damage by 2 plus ranks in parry. How many ranks in parry does he have?
I'm gonna go with 2, but hit me with your thought.
No, I was thinking 2 or 3. Now, does he have
I think he does
improved
have
parry?
improved parry. And that's why I'm going with 2.
So when he parries a hit that generates a despair or 3 threat, he can hit the attacker once with his lightsaber weapon, dealing
Yes.
base damage after the original attack resolves.
That's why I wanted him to have the lesser parry, but have the ability to
Yeah.
hit right back.
Does he have supreme parry?
No.
Yeah, no, because he wouldn't not make a combat check.
He wants the ability to combat check.
No, he would not sacrifice that. Okay, here's something that kind of fits in with the character and how parts of the game play out, parts of the video game play out. Power from pain, once per session as an incidental, may spend a destiny point to gain +1 force rating for each critical injury that the character is suffering until the end of the encounter. Granted, this depends upon the players being able to inflict a critical hit on Starkiller. But if they do inflict a critical hit, he can spend a destiny point to increase his force rating until the end of the encounter.
A dangerous gamble.
It's a dangerous gamble, but it allows for some of the crazy high-end force stuff that he does in the video games.
Usually you don't advertise abilities to your players. That'd be one that, like, I would say would have to be explained to a degree, just so they aren't, like, completely caught off guard.
It's one that exists that they have access to if they have the right tree.
And there's also the fact that if they're going up against Starkiller at this point, they should know what Starkiller means. Like, there's a reason that canon turned Starkiller into, like, the Death Star 5.0.
So you've talked me down from that, and you'll probably talk me down from Power of Darkness, where once per session may perform the Power of Darkness maneuver and increase wound threshold and strain threshold by 1 per the dark side destiny point.
Actually, I think I'll allow that one instead. Drawing on the darkness as, like, pain and, like, the battle goes on feels like a bit more Starkiller-y.
All right, I will take it.
Like, he's, like, feeling all the pain and the anguish, and it's like turning that into power.
Does he prey on the weak? Does he add +1 damage to 1 hit of successful combat checks against disoriented targets per rank of prey on the weak?
I say because at this point, like, the adversaries he's facing probably have ways of, like, either removing or negating disorient. So I know.
All right, we will now slide on down the alphabet to something that we know this character has, and that is reflect. When hit by a ranged attack, suffer 3 strain to reduce damage by 2 plus ranks in reflect. How many ranks in reflect does our boy have?
4 reflect.
4 reflect. And I presume he has improved reflect when reflecting a hit that generated despair or 3 threat may hit 1 target in medium range with the same damage as the initial hit.
That's the initial ability you have in the video game. Basically how I got for the first level. Just like bam, 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 bam.
Right.
Like, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Before we get to the one that I know you really want him to have, does he have Saber Swarm? Can he perform the Saber Swarm maneuver, suffer 1 strain to make the next... Oh, no, that's when lightsaber is tied to agility. Never mind. So, here's the one that you have been chomping at the bit for, Saber Throw. Perform a Saber Throw action, make a lightsaber combat check as a ranged attack at the target within medium range, adding force dice no greater than the force rating, must spend force points and succeed to hit the target, and spend a force point to have the weapon returned to his hand. He has Saber Throw. Does he have improved Saber Throw? to increase to long range. All right. So for spending 2 force points, he can have the weapon returned to his hand, attacking at long range. I think this also kind of goes with his typical lightsaber type attacks, though. I think he has
I'll agree with that.
Sarlacc sweep. He increases the difficulty of the lightsaber check by 1 to perform the Sarlacc sweep action, and may spend advantages to hit additional engaged targets.
Yeah, that's like he can hit from long range, and he can also hit multiple in range.
Does he sense danger?
He is the danger, so no.
So once per session, he can't remove 2 setbacks
Yeah, no,
from any
that'd be a
one
bit
check?
too. That's too like precaution based. He's jumping into situations.
Okay, that's fair.
And just everything must die except for me.
Let's see. I think he doesn't have Shroud. He's pretty much a beacon to force powers.
Honestly, that's
Sidestep.
at least one rank of sidestep. He's gotta have like grenade range because he's eventually going to close the distance or bring them to the distance. Eventually.
And we're in the home stretch of the alphabet. I am taking a quick spin through to see what else might apply. Terrify? Take the Terrify action, make a hard coercion check, adding force dice no greater than the force rating. Disorient 1 target within medium range per success. Spend advantage to extend duration, and spend force points to immobilize the affected target.
1 rank of that. Oh,
but it's not ranked.
Just thinking.
Now there is an improved Terrify to reduce the difficulty of the check to average, and spend a triumph to stagger an affected target.
That's someone higher than this. That's like someone like leaving someone alive.
What about Terrifying Kill? Can spend a destiny point to take the Terrifying Kill maneuver after incapacitating or inflicting a critical injury. Roll force dice no greater than the force rating, and spend force points to inflict 1 strain upon each character within short range of the target. So they watch him eviscerate their buddy and take strain.
Yeah, take that's cool. That's Starkiller.
That is the end of the talent listing. Next up will be force talents, but might want to do it a slightly different way. But before we do the force, we have to figure out what his force rating is. Now let's look at Daddy Vader. Daddy Vader has a force rating of 6.
And the average Inquisitor is around 3.
Given some of the insane things that we see him do, see the previously mentioned pulling a Star Destroyer out of orbit, I'm thinking we gotta go 4 or 5.
I guess if we're just going for like a vibes, I'd say 4.
Now, and like I said, and that's fair. Like I said, I have something in mind that can help replicate those occasional off-the-wall crazy force feats that he did in the game. So we've got a force rating of 4.
Up there in terms of like an NPC.
So let's take a look at his force abilities. It's been a while. Does he have anything with sense? Does he have any sense?
No. Starting it at 3, he gets Unleashed.
Protect Unleash?
Mm-hmm.
And does he have the full tree, or what does he have?
We're going to give him the full Unleashed tree. That's the only full tree that he has. He has other trees as the force powers, and we'll get into that.
All right. We have the full tree. So I wouldn't say he has Alter. I wouldn't say he has Battle Meditation. How about Bind?
I'd say he has, in terms of Bind,
he's got the basic power.
Basic power, obviously.
Which lets him restrain an enemy and prevent the target from attacking. Does he have any...
I would say it would be like half of least resistance. Strength to mastery. So force choke.
All right.
He can't lift up multiple people. He cannot bind others. He can't bind anything bigger than a silhouette individual. So he's just force choke.
Can he move his 1 target, 1 range band closer or further away? And does he have any range at it? Because by default it's short range.
Yeah, no, I'll leave it as like he's only able to like right in front of you, like classic Vader like force choke.
That's fair.
Because that's his master. That's what he's learned.
That's absolutely fair. Pretty sure that he's got enhance because, force leaps.
Yep, I'll let you propose to me the enhance for him.
I would say he's got the force leaps and can use them as a maneuver.
So that's
And
at least down the right side of the tree. Is it enough to be a maneuver, or we would sacrifice the maneuver to something else on the left side of the tree?
no, I'd say he gets the maneuver just because I think it's nearly useless to have force leaps not be a maneuver.
I say that's true, and that basically isn't like the double jump in the video game. Because that like makes the video game
Now,
like really open up with the double jump.
force leaps by default are short range, so I think he gets 2 range upgrades so that he can go to long.
Okay.
But he does not have, he can't use it for coordination or resilience or brawl or brawn or agility.
Well, that's not his thing.
Basically, it's all about the force leap.
Yeah. Which is like 90% of the video game. The video game is like it's an action platformer. So you got a movement and yeah, that fits.
Back to being a while since I played it. Does he have influence?
Nope.
Didn't think so.
They didn't even the mind trick stuff they introduced in the Force Unleashed 2, where it's just like the suicide button.
Here comes the other biggie, because it's in the thumbnail on YouTube. We've mentioned it 2 or 3 times already. Move. I think he's got the whole tree on move.
Yeah, he's got the full move on. As an NPC, that would make for the most, especially with like if Robert was making a boss fight with this, he'd have a field day with this.
Oh, yes.
There'd be so many moving parts, and I'd be like,
honestly, I think that's all of his force abilities.
oh yeah, those are of his, like, arguably, like, people would say like, oh, but he also has like force lightning, harm. It's like, but that's not his like iconic ability. That's
right.
It's the unleashed move.
Now, we kind of come at this point. Most adversaries, especially Nemesis level in this system, have a special ability of some kind. Here's where I said I have an idea for how to allow him to do the crazy overpowered force stuff. Special ability called, and I'm going to be super original here, the Force Unleashed.
He said the thing.
Starkiller may spend once per session 3 destiny points to double his force rating for an encounter.
Approved. 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 That. Wait, I do have one caveat.
Yeah.
Costs at least 3 strain.
Okay.
As he draws upon the dark side.
I have a modification to that.
Ooh.
Dial that down to 2 strain, but 2 strain per round that he uses the double force rating.
Oh, that's approved while using that ability.
Yep. I mean, if you want to make a case for making it 3 strain per round, but I think 2 strain per round is fair.
As an antagonist, that would be more fitting for a player character to have 3.
That allows him 1 encounter per session to have a force rating of 8.
And basically doing an insane moment.
Yes, pulling that Star Destroyer out of orbit.
I can dig it. I can dig it. While also still having a huge moment. It's like they have to leave, and hopefully the DM has enough destiny points to, and they are gone. But like the idea is like big moment.
All right, now we can kid him out.
I think this is easy.
I think this is very easy.
Armor clothing, which is Inquisitor clothing, basic.
Right.
Basic soak, basic defense. Now here we get into like the more important thing, like what kind of lightsaber are we giving him? It should be a corrupted lightsaber, so automatic dark side pip +2 to damage.
So we get a basic hilt, and we give it a corrupted crystal. How many, if any, of their of that corrupted crystal's mods does it have? It can take 2 additional damage mods.
We have enough as an incredibly dangerous adversary. I feel like this should be.
With that corrupted crystal, he has a base damage of 6 on the lightsaber, a base crit rating of 2, breach 1, sunder 1, and vicious 2. It adds
My
a dark
final,
side point to the attack.
yep. My final question is it an Inquisitor lightsaber? Is it the spinny?
No, because it wasn't in the game.
Okay, that's fine.
That I recall anyway.
It wasn't. I was just gonna say that because that would make your son really upset.
Yes, it would. All right, so we're going to leave the optional mods alone?
Honestly, I feel like that's an incredibly strong opponent that can be modified for your game or completely changed out for your game. But I feel it's like a strong, like high level villain.
Oh, Nick, you're not looking at the XP here yet. I'll give you the XP total in a minute.
A heavily high level villain to eventually like challenge you in the future.
Okay, so we've got his lightsaber, we've got armored clothing. I don't think he really needs any other gear.
Yeah.
By default, this gives what we've given him gives him a wound threshold of 17 and a strain threshold of 14 with a soak of 6. Do we want to tinker with any of those numbers at all? Or are we good with his wound and strain thresholds?
I think I'm good for those.
All right. I think we've reached the end of the build. And to build Starkiller, we have used 1,525 XP.
A fair, quote unquote, fair Starkiller.
Yes. I will translate this into a character sheet. We will post a link to it in the show notes on our website. And so anyone who wants to use it, and I will also post these stats to my Star Wars homebrew website, myswrpg.com, and we can.
But also, we are open to discussing this again. Like, this is not this is just a fun.
This is
discussion.
Just having fun. Now,
But
in the interest of just having fun, let me tell you, Nick, years ago for a campaign that I ran from home, I statted out a clone of Starkiller that they ran into once.
ooh.
By comparison, I spent 1,043 XP on that version of Starkiller. I did not look it back up before we started this episode because I wanted to come into it completely fresh.
But that's something we can look at too. And like I've talked with Robert. Robert has proposed like his version of Starkiller before. Like I've heard other builds, and I hope that our viewers have opinions, ideas, concepts.
Indeed. And since that ends the build, you have allowed me to segue into our closing, Nick. This is the part of the show where I always remind everybody to check out our website at howwerollgaming.com. And there you'll find links to all of our socials. You'll find information about our current campaigns. You'll find a link to our merch store to help keep producing the podcast, to help you just kind of keep us rolling. No pun intended.
Keep that amazing light behind you.
And if you have any questions,
it does look good.
It does. It does. Thank you for the light, Nick. That was a gift from Nick.
You're welcome.
If you have any questions you'd like us to answer, topics you'd like us to cover, or even submit your own RPG glory stories for the next Glory Stories episode, shoot us an email at podcast@howwerollgaming.com, and we would be delighted to hear from you.
Feel free to join the Discord.
Feel free to join the Discord. That's linked on the website. All of our other socials are listed on the website. And hopefully after Gamer Nation Con, we will have some pictures of us in action, in the wild, with players and everything.
We're regular people. Like, it does take us time. Like, We're not always available, but if you have questions, we'll try our best to
Yep. We will
be
try our
there
best.
for you.
Yep. But we hope that you have enjoyed us. You're just geeking out and having fun building an insanely overpowered adversary to throw at your Star Wars players sometime. Don't kill them if you can help it, but this could be a fun challenge once they've leveled up quite a bit. And yeah, 1500 plus XP to build him. But when you have an entire group of player characters, you know, they can all work together where
Honestly,
he's on his own.
honestly, that might be a fun moment where we do a live play where we see if
Just do a live play
everyone
of everyone's favorite characters from various Star Wars campaigns versus Starkiller.
our Starkiller versus their best.
Yep, but in the meantime, we hope that you have enjoyed it. We hope you join us next time. And until then, I'm Daryl,
I'm Nick.
and this is how we roll.